Hi everyone, I'm Nat and I am dyspraxic and I also work at Exceptional Individuals. So we support people who are neurodivergent, so that could be dyslexia, dyspraxia, autism, ADHD, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, anything that falls under neurodivergence. I would love to know from you guys though, if you could put in the comment box, why are you here today? Are you dyspraxic and just want to learn a bit more about it? Do you think you may have it? Or do you support people who have dyspraxia or additional needs and you would like to learn a little bit more? Now, a bit more about us. There's a lot of familiar faces today, but I'm guessing there's always going to be some new ones. What do we do? Well, we recruit diverse talent. So if any of you are looking for jobs or help putting people into jobs, get in contact. We work with some amazing partners, and I mean, we make sure that they're completely trained in neurodiversity. So it's a great foundation to find an inclusive employer. Lindsay, good to see the camera on. Yeah, and we also do one-to-one. So if any of you are looking for support, guidance, get in touch. It's completely free. We're a social enterprise. So companies pay, but individuals do not. We run guides and drop-in sessions. So that's enough of a plug. Now, one of the comments I saw was, how do I actually communicate dyspraxia? Now, this Spikey profile works for all of the neurodivergent conditions, but I really like this, and I show this in nearly every presentation because it's such a great starting point. So it's not about being bad at everything. It's not about being wobbly. It's not about falling off your bike every 2 seconds, even though that might be the case. It's about the fluctuation of ability. So there's going to be some points where you're exceptionally skilled. So for instance, you might be an amazing mathematician, but when it comes to creativity, it might be a struggling point. Or it could be the complete opposite way around. You might be really creative, but when it comes to like more analytical things, and that's what it is. It's the highs and the lows. That's neurodivergence. Now, if you guys can see this page, on the bottom of your screen, there should be like a little thumbs up or a question mark. If you can click the thumbs up, that's how I'll know that you're interacting. There we are. Okay, cool. So that is good to know. Very good to know. Now, first question, and you see, are you clumsy? So on your phones, if you're able to, just let me know. Do you consider yourself clumsy? Yeah, that's good. Always falling over? So do you rarely fall over? Sometimes, frequently, almost always. All right. So a lot of you have said frequently. Now, I know I am always tripping over myself. Nightmare. Now, this is interesting because a lot of people used to call dyspraxia, which is a neurodivergence, the clumsy disorder. Now, I take great offense to that because it's more than just being clumsy, but it is about spatial awareness and somehow not always understanding your like surroundings. So, like if a ball is coming to you, you might try and catch it, but your brain has like a slight delay. So dancing, riding, anything which requires quick processing, that's why it can also affect verbal communication. So as always, if you are resonating with this, it does not mean you are necessarily dyspraxic, but it is an indication that you might want to explore this a little further. Okay, now select the left hand. Might seem rather easy, but there is a purpose for this. So out of the two little emojis, which one is the left hand? Okay, we got, ooh. Nice, nice. These little dots are traveling all over the screen. Now that is interesting, isn't it? That we've got frequently a very even mix. Now maybe you cannot see those little hands, or it is tough. Now, understanding left and right does not mean you do not know what left is and you do not know what right. Am I right? It's a right and left joke. But what it does mean is that the brain finds it difficult to like remember directions. So if we were driving and you'll say, okay, go left, I might go the complete wrong way. I don't know about you guys, but how do you always remember your lefts and your rights? I always have to get my hand up and go like, yeah, lefty loosey, righty tighty. And all the time, it's a right nightmare.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Oh, it's okay. Oh, thank
All right.
you.
I'm going to have to mute you, sorry. A passionate, always wanting a piece of the action. So, wow, 50% of you got the rotten hand left. So the left hand is the first one, and always remember it with the left. Like if you can make an L shape, I cannot think of a better way to do it. So Laura says, I always need to look at my hands. Yeah, I really can't do it without. It's like I can't do the alphabet without singing the song. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. You know, I wouldn't be able to tell you what comes after O without doing the song. All right, next one. I want you to rate your favorite sports in order. So you should be on your phone, be able to like move things to like top and bottom until you get to like ones that you consider your favorite. Now, if you hate sports altogether, just choose. Okay, so D is, I just trying to remember which hand I used to write with. Oh man, I know that. I'm right-handed, but interestingly, most people with dyspraxia tend to be left-handed. Okay, cool. Now, the most of you have said your favorite sports is running, then basketball. Oh, no, oh, it's moving all over the place. So running, tennis, basketball, football. Oh, I did not expect tennis to overtake the top spot. Now, why I ask this question is that when it comes, oh, running's back to the top again. Oh, this is getting intense. Why we picked running? No, why I ask this question is that people with dyspraxia typically struggle with large or small kind of sports that relate to a ball. And this is because it requires a lot of kind of like fast reactions. So I was actually expecting running to be the number one because it's more solitary. It doesn't require as fast reactions unless you're running in like a dangerous place. I'm not gonna lie, I actually broke someone's nose once by playing rounders. Oh, so bad, right? The ball was coming towards me. You know, you meant to hit the ball. I let go of the bat. Boshed the guy's nose out. Still feel guilty to this day, but can't blame me. I've got the D card. Jokes, you really can't use that. But it is a thing, okay? Okay, hi, I'm Neil and I use my left hand a lot. So be careful. I don't know about you guys, but do you find you like bigger ball sports hard or smaller? So I think I find football and tennis and basketball all very challenging, to be honest. But I can do badminton, maybe because it's a bit slower and it gives the brain a bit more time to process. Pauline says, I'm bad at all of them. I understand those feels. Okay. Dee says badminton is her favorite. It's a good one. All right. So number 6, how sensitive are you to touch? So are you a bit ticklish, you know, got some funny bones? Or do you, like, if you get touched, you jump? Or on these, I just want you to rate how true you think each statement is. So you might say, I'm never ticklish, or I am always ticklish. And that is all you need to do. So it's either never or always. You could be somewhere in the middle, could be quite far on the spectrum. And what I will do is I'll let you know how this relates to dyspraxia. Now, I see we've got a few new people joining. If you have, all you need to do is go to menti.com, which is at the top of the page, and put this code in, 6134735. Oh, okay, we've got an interesting mix. So the majority of you, and today we have 15 in the room, is ticklish. I am exceptionally ticklish. Like, I'll kick you in the face if you touch me. I'm like, I just can't control it myself. A fair amount of you like receiving hugs, like wearing jumpers. That seems a bit of an odd question. If I get touched, I normally jump. Now, why? Because if you're dyspraxic, typically you have a real high sensitivity. So you're very sensitive to touch. And that might mean that you're more likely to be ticklish. It might mean that you either like receiving hugs or you do not. For that one, it can kind of go either way, depending if you like the touch or you do not like the touch. But either way, you're more sensitive to it. And jumpers, it's actually not uncommon for a lot of people who are dyspraxic to find things really irritating. So, you know, you kind of got that like little thing at the back normally with like the label on. I can get so annoyed by that, like really itchy, like more so than an average person. And if there's a jumper that's a bit itchy, sorry, Mum, for Christmas, I'm not wearing that horrific jumper. It's just not going to happen. And lastly, if you get touched, you jump. So if someone walks behind you and taps you on the shoulder and you're like, that is another sign which relates to kind of like sensitivity, or you're just very nervous. Now, Dee has said, my dentist has a note on my record that I'm very ticklish under my chin. That's funny. I can imagine having to write that down. No, I'm more under the armpits, I think, which is the ticklish spot. But anyway, so number 7, what is something you learned yesterday? So if you're able to, either on the app or on the comment section on this, whatever works for you, just let me know one thing you learned yesterday. Again, a lot of these might seem really easy, but there is a reason why I'm asking you. What did I learn yesterday? I honestly can't remember. Okay, so we've got, my son told me facts about planets, but can't remember. I know, I can never remember the planets in order. I know there's like a little rhyme, doesn't know. How to use Cisco Jabber on my mobile phone. I think, is that like a Zoom thing? Can't remember. Access to work are hard work. True that. I can't remember. I am not good at time management. I learned how to get on a bus to travel to a location. That is very good. That is a very dyspraxic thing, to be honest. Now, the most common answer is, I do not remember. Congratulations, high likelihood you've got dyspraxia. Memory retention is a real challenge. The struggle is real. And that's because, like, the way the brain processes information, think of it like a massive filing cabinet. And if you want a piece of information, you just pull the cabinet open, get the information. But with dyspraxia, that information is at the very top of the cabinet and you can't reach. You don't have a stepladder. And that's why it's not that it isn't in your brain somewhere. It's that the brain is struggling to like re-pull the information. So we've also got, I attended a webinar about learning in nature. Can't remember any details about my notes. I'm the same. Now I've also got dyslexia, which means I can't even read my notes because they're so terribly written, eh? Ah, someone hates me. But oh well. Try to make things a little less complicated. Yeah. And so the best thing I would recommend for this is try and find a way which allows you to remember. Now, I'm not very good at writing, but I do make a lot of voice notes. So I might like speak to my phone and kind of jot things down that way. Or this doesn't work for me personally, but some people say if you have an elastic band and every time you want to remember it, you like pinch it. I don't know if that works or not, but that's what I've been told. But regardless, it's a very common trait. Okay, Laura says, I use visual notes. Good. Oh, okay. We've got lots of little animals on here. So you've got to put them on there. So I think on this, you've got to put a name if you're able to. Oh, okay, Basil, nice to see you. a little bit late to the main. So all you've got to do, Basil, can you hear me? Well, okay. All you've got to do is go onto menti.com, put in that code, and you can join in with us. But if you can't, it doesn't matter. All right, so hopefully we've got some of you players, and the faster you answer, the more points you get. What word means the following? This is like a crossword. A single organism, being or characteristic of a single thing or person. So just think of a crossword. Now, if you know the word we're looking for, you need to type it in. And now this has to be spot on, like correct spelling everything. Otherwise, you'll get a big like, Okay, time's up. Let's see how we got. We've got individual. Ooh, monolecular. Very good. Got some interesting ones there. Bacteria, being. Nice. The correct answer is individual. And I don't know if any of you do crosswords. I cannot do them to save my life. It's not happening. And the reason is that with dyspraxia, it's not to do with intelligence, okay? And I'll repeat that. It's not to do with lack of intelligence. Like, for instance, you all know what an individual is, right? We all know what a person is, but we might not always be able to retrieve the information. So if you're ever in a situation where you're trying to talk and that the word's on the tip of your tongue, but you cannot get it out, that is very likely a symptom of dyspraxia, because you know the information, but like I said about that filing cabinet, the word you're looking for is at the very top. And this can relate to conversation, spelling, writing, you know, anything in life. Dee said crosswords are hard for sure. I'm more of a spot the difference kind of guy, but each to their own. Okay, now, out of these images, what does your handwriting look like? And now, be honest here. So, do people normally say your handwriting is completely illegible? Or is it quite average? People can read it, okay? Or is it like super neat and you're always getting the compliments? Okay, interesting. This one now is related to dyspraxia, but it also crosses over to something called dysgraphia, which we have a session coming on in a few months, which you guys are welcome to learn more about. And if you've got really bad handwriting, this can be a sign of dyspraxia. And it's how the brain processes kind of like writing or information. So you think of what you want to say and you write it, but because there's like a slight delay, it ends up all over the place. Now, to clarify, a lot of you said average. Just because you are one or the other, it doesn't necessarily mean that you do or do not have. So for instance, you could have amazingly neat handwriting and still be dyspraxic. These are just more of the common characteristics. And I don't know, but I have horrific handwriting, but I'm actually very good at drawing, or at least I used to be. And it's because it comes from different parts of the brain. And that's another really good way to know if it's related to dyspraxia or not. Because remember I showed you that spiky profile with like the highs and the lows? If you were, for instance, terrible at drawing, terrible at writing and all of that, it's probably something else. But if you have like fluctuations, so some things which are similar, you're very good at, and others disastrous, that's looking more like something that could be dyspraxia, yeah. All right, guys, you're all doing very good. We are halfway there now. All right, so number 10. If you are meeting a person at a new location, what would you do? Are you more likely to get lost and arrive late? Would you eventually find it, but super late? Typically arrive 10 minutes or so, you know, here or there. No trouble, you bang on time, to the minute. Or arrive 10 minutes or an hour early. Now, if any of you ever come to Exceptional Individuals, we're based in London, we honestly have had some people come a week early and also a week late, like, or even a month actually. It's ridiculous sometimes. I'm like, yeah, you're on time if you were coming last week. A Parshna, not name dropping it, but it is all part of dyspraxia, and it can make you come across really unprofessional in a meeting. So obviously that's not ideal, but understanding that it's part of your condition can definitely help you find coping mechanisms, support structures around these difficulties. Now, most of you have said you arrived 10 minutes early. Now, I'd be curious to know, do you arrive 10 minutes early because you know that you're going to be late, so you plan ahead, or are you just super organized? So yeah, I see a bit of nodding from Catherine. That's given me a good inkling. I would say if you're a working professional, you probably arrive early, and that's because you know what you're like. I have to go to a building like even a few days before just so I feel confident. Nikki has said, yes, planning ahead for it, plan for it to go horribly wrong. Jane, I set off very early. I try to aim for an hour myself, half an hour at very minimum. Because, you know, people will take allowances for being disabled, but you can't use that as an excuse every time. You've got to be on time. And this is why young people normally show stronger characteristics than older people, because they haven't learned these professional skill sets. So both individuals are just as likely to get lost and arrive late, but one person is going to plan for failure and in total win. Pauline says, for professionals, I plan ahead and allow extra time. For social, I'm always late. I think a lot of us can probably resonate with that. It's bad, isn't it, that we don't value our friends as much, but it's just how it is. You know, I'll turn up like fashionably late. Now, Catherine has said, I arrive a few minutes late or plan ahead because of stress. As I get older, my timing is getting worse. Stress, it goes hand in hand. If I know I'm running late, my stress levels will go through the roof, and it probably means I'll get even later. Now we're not just talking about knowing your way around. You could even have Google Maps, you know, you could have like alarms, anything. All right, number 11. Did it take you longer to learn to tie your shoes than other people? So whatever age this was around your peers, did it take you a bit longer? Maybe you still can't tie your shoes and you're all about that Velcro loving. Or, oh, okay, I can, but don't ask for a fancy knot. Okay, we've got a few there. Now, it honestly took me, I was in secondary school when I finally learned to tie knots, tie my own shoelaces, and to tell the time. And, you know, to say embarrassing is the worst. I remember being a scout and going on a camping trip, and we all had to like shine our shoes and tie our boots, and I felt awful because I had to ask someone to do it in private. And obviously, if you can't tie your shoelaces when you're, what, like 10 or 11, people are going to think you're dumb or stupid, when I definitely wasn't. I just really struggled with the coordination. Eventually got there, but even to this day, double knots, they're still falling off my feet every 5 seconds. I'm more of a kind of the shoe you can just slip on. The good thing though, is that a lot of Velcro shoes also have those flashing lights in the bottom. So, you know, it was always fun, but I can't get away with that as much these days. So most of you have said, I can, but don't ask for a fancy no. Yes, I still can't. Barely. Yeah, it's type of thing where at our ages, whatever ages we are, we probably have found coping mechanisms, but it doesn't mean that the struggle isn't there still. All right. Now, this is one which could go terribly wrong here and offensive, but let's do it anyway. How would you answer this question? Honey, does this shirt make me look fat? All right. In the comments or on Menti, how would you answer this? And like, be honest, because obviously you could be like really offensive here. Okay, let's see what we got. Yes. Okay, we've got a blatant yes. You have shirts that suit you more. Oh, yeah, that's a good one. You need a looser fit. It makes you look bigger. Well, darling, what do you think? That's good. A little bit of reflection. Always great to twist it around. It's all about loving your body, no matter what size you are. That could be taken a little bit passive aggressive, you know, like, yeah. I would answer the individual truthfully, yes. It's probably not the best you could wear. It makes you look bigger. It doesn't show you at your best. I must say, guys, you're a very polite audience. I was fully preparing like complete savagery. And why this is on here is that, again, with dyspraxia, you know how he talked about word retention? It can be really difficult to say the right things. And this is because, say you're in a situation. Now, there's two answers, isn't there? There's the answer that you're really thinking with no filter, and there's the answer which is sensitive. I'm not saying lying, but you're taking the person's feelings into consideration. And with dyspraxia, if you're doing multiple processing, it can be quite difficult for the brain to do like two tasks at once. So typically what will happen is you'll say something offensive, then you'll, you'll like, and then you'll eventually come out with the more politically correct answer, which is a bit more suited to that situation. But by that point, the damage is done. But it seems to me that a lot of you have answered very nice. To be honest, this is definitely something I struggle with all the time. I always say put my foot in it. I think people either end up hating me for life because of it, or find it endearing and find it part of the charming characteristics. Okay, I think we're almost good on this. Now, 13, rate your communication style you use the most. So on this one, you can kind of say, I think it's out of 10 or 5 on how much you rate yourself. Now, if you're passive, you're like, yeah, I'm chill. Cool. Let's just go with the flow. Aggressive, you're a bit more likely to start a bit more confrontation. Passive aggressive, oh yeah, new haircut, even though you hate it. Or assertive, we're doing this today. Let's go. Paulina said, I had to learn to be tactful. It wasn't a natural skill. Yeah. And with all the challenges of dyspraxia or any neurodivergence, you can learn to overcome it. This doesn't mean you get rid of the root cause, but you do find coping mechanisms. Now, it's a lot of you here. To be honest, I'm not surprised that many of you didn't say aggressive, because no one, as human beings, we're not very self-aware and no one likes to admit it, but it is a quality that a lot of us do have. Now, passive is not surprising. And this is a massive stereotype, but people with dyspraxia are often seen as introverted and not extroverted, which means they're more likely to listen than to actively like put the hand up and wave. Is that because life has trampled them down to not speak up, or is that just a natural thing of dyspraxia or their individual characteristics? I can't really answer that, but it's probably a combination. Anna has said, aggressive could be interpreted differently in some cultures. Yeah, that is true. So it doesn't have to mean negative. That's for certain. And then passive aggressive, this could be like a bit more sarcastic, and assertive is being very sure. Typically, if you are dyspraxic, you might be a bit more passive, and this is because of the processing again. If your brain is taking a little bit longer to like put all the different ways of thinking and answers together, it probably will take a bit longer. You might be aggressive because you're unable to kind of think quickly, so you're a bit more snappy and defensive. Being passive aggressive tends to be not a very dyspraxic characteristic, because let's face it, you're normally quite witty, but don't they say witty is the lowest form? No, sarcasm is the lowest form of wit. So there's that. And assertive, though we like to think of ourselves as assertive, that normally does require a very definitive answer. And if your brain is struggling with, you know, which one to go with, it might not be the most assertive. But please remember, these are just the most casual and typical characteristics, and none of these define the condition completely. So I do not want you going away thinking all people with dyspraxia are pushovers. It is not the case. Dee says passive due to not always being able to find the answer to be able to engage in things. Yes, exactly the reason. Catherine, communication causes me a lot of frustration at work, being told I'm defensive when challenged. I get that all the time. You know, I don't think my colleagues are working, but they'll attest to that. You can come across a little bit, you know, aggressive and defensive, but it's just because they don't understand you. You understand yourself, or at least you think you do, but you're unable to get that across. This is where dyslexia and dyspraxia kind of interlink. So dyslexia is having it, but not being able to communicate like on paper or in other means. Dyspraxia is more verbal. So this is what the difference essentially. Same output, a communication deficit, but different in terms of how the brain gets that deficit. Laura said, I think sometimes when I think I'm being really assertive, it is comparison to a very low baseline. Yeah, people can misinterpret these things. Okay, whew. All right. Now, 14, have any of you ever had phobias or obsessive behaviors with any of the following? Now, it could be social interaction, which could be groups, big spaces, little spaces, public speaking. It could be, you know, heights, flying, vertigo. Maybe you hate spiders, insects, snakes, small little things. Needles, you know, you don't want to get a needle. Or actually, you're good, you know, you're not scared of anything. Come at me, zombies. Okay, now interestingly, in the US, public speaking is the most feared thing ever. It actually comes first, and the second one is death. Imagine that. You're more scared of talking in front of a group than you are of dying. I think that sets priorities quite firmly. Now, we as human beings, who knows why we have all these phobias? Like any of these could be anything, but it's quite often that people with dyspraxia do have phobias or do have OCD, that's obsessive behavior disorder tendencies, okay? Tendencies. So it doesn't have to be like a full-blown diagnosis. But that's because while the brain's processing, it can kind of like latch on to bits of information and it's holding on tight, okay, trying to process it. And latching onto something can turn into an obsession, all right? This is why, so you're trying to like, that spider, I don't know why I hate it. It looks, I don't like it. And your brain is focusing so like on like, what's wrong with it? I don't understand it. Why is it all like walking around crazy like? And that can lead to something a little bit more severe. So there is a higher population with dyspraxia that also has a phobia of some sort. And okay, Anna said, I don't like long answers, so tend to be more assertive. Yeah, that actually is a good point, actually. Assertive could just be short answers to the point because, yeah, long answers. Laura has also said, I think sometimes when I think I'm being really assertive, oh no, I've said that. Okay, that's good. I think that was the last one. Oh no, it's not the last one. What are daily tasks that you get frustrated and impatient with. So on this one, you can do a typed answer. Just let me know. Is there anything that day in and day out gets you really annoyed, but probably shouldn't, you know, like shouldn't be a big deal because it's just part of life? Okay, tidying up. Yep, I'm not the tidiest myself. Writing emails, I completely understand that. I spend half my day writing emails when it's I really shouldn't need to. But drag and dictate, the software really helps. Tidying up, laptop. Yep, when you want your computer to do one thing only, and it's just not listening to you. Organizing, tidying up mess, numbers, forgetting things. Oh, I am so forgetful. I don't know if any of you guys have heard of it, but I bought a load of tiles. They're little things which can help me find my belongings. So I'm always like, tile, where's my wallet? And it will find it. Now, they're really good. Caveat, they're a little bit expensive, but personally, if you're like me and you're always losing things, they can be quite good. So that's Tile, Tile. Another thing is I have like, you know, when you've got like Alexa, find my phone. Hopefully I'm not calling any of your phones right now. Oh, my Alexa's upstairs talking. Oh, literally it's calling my phone. Never mind. That helps me find. So all these things are completely normal. That doesn't mean it's not frustrating, but at least you can put some context behind it. Not answering, washing up, putting laundry away, picking up objects, dropping stuff all the way, dishwasher. It seems like we often have a lot of frustrations. Now again, just because you don't like emptying the dishwasher doesn't make you dyspraxic. But it does, you know, getting frustrated easily, having a bit of a short temper can be a result of living with that way of thinking. All righties. 16. Out of 10, how true are these statements? So you either write false or true. I learned to ride a boke. That's dyslexic. A bike. That's a bike, guys, not a boke. I learned to ride a boke with ease. I am a good dancer. I am good at video games. So Catherine says, I'm seriously considering a cleaner. Me too, actually. I keep thinking I shouldn't be something I need to pay for. I should just do it myself, but it doesn't. Lately, I've been watching a lot of trash TV and, you know, like hoarders. And it's really bad. I resonate so bad. I'm like, that's going to be me. Or maybe it's already me. Yeah. Laura said, I need a minus score for video games. So bad at them. I'm terrible at video games. I only like playing open world games, you know, where you can just literally run around and do whatever you want. If it's kind of like you need like a platform, terrible. So why did I ask these questions? You're probably starting to get the theme now of really what is dyspraxia. So I learned to ride a bike with ease. Riding a bike can take so long. I mean, they say once you've learned to ride a bike, you never forget. I would like to challenge that with absolutely you can. I'm quite good now, but it took a long time. I was on stabilizers for far too long, but we got there. I am a good dancer. Interestingly, more of you have hit a higher score than I would have imagined. So don't get me wrong, I like dancing, but you know when you're like just going like crazy, like doing your own thing. But if you're doing kind of more calculated dancing, like, I don't know, salsa, tango, or anything that requires rhythm or pattern, that's typically where being dyspraxic might let you down. It can, however, be overcome, but it's going to take a lot of practice, And lastly, good at video games, which most of you have said not. Now, this could be maybe the demographic that it just really isn't your jam. But and what I find interesting is that people always assume, right, you're bad at sports, you might be good at video games because they're quite different, but they're not. They're very similar. They all require coordination skills. So if you're not able to tap really fast, you're going to die. And that's very similar to riding a bike. If you don't pedal the right way, you're going to die. Oh, sorry, that took a morbid turn. But you get the idea, is that anything which will require a fast reaction, be it dancing, cycling, video games, is going to have a similar result. Nikki said, I've been banned from 2 separate dance classes. Impressive, very impressive. Banned. I didn't even know dance classes banned. Can they ban you for being bad? I used to do tap dancing for 7 years, right, when I was younger. Hated it. But my mum thought, we'll keep doing those dance lessons. He'll get it. The sun did not come out tomorrow. I quit. So I believe we have more women on this call, right? Maybe. But men and women should be about average on terms of diagnosis. Now, those are all the questions, okay? And hopefully by the end of it, you have a better understanding about what it is to be dyspraxic. What are the characteristics? When you're going for a diagnosis, what are they looking for? I can't follow aerobics or Zumba classes for toffee, but can freestyle to the rhythm. Yeah, I can't be doing any Zumba. Can't do squats either, but I don't think that's to do with dyspraxia. Was bad at tap, but I'm now good at Latin dancing. Yeah, I know. Do you do a bit of dancing? We also got someone in our community who runs a company called Danceability, and they have dyspraxia and they specialize in dancing. So it can be a thing. Now, a little bit more about us. So maybe I've told you all these things and you're like, I get it, I need help. And we can help with that. So you can always get in contact. We are based in the UK, okay, but we do support the whole world. So you can still get in touch, though there is less funding available for that. So just to be aware. Now, if you're looking for work, get in contact. Training. Oh, Basil, do you have something to say, or just to?
Can you give me support in the next few weeks? I emailed you. I didn't get a reply back. We
are not great at that, but yes. After this, I will have a look.
Now, I sent an email just now, a few minutes ago.
Thanks. Okay, Basil, I will have a look after this call if that's okay.
That's all right. It's harder for you being neurodiverse, isn't it? It can be hard at life.
Yeah, it's all well and good being neurodivergent and helping neurodivergence, but with that comes its own fun stuff.
I know. Having ADHD, I received diagnosed ADHD 3 weeks ago, and that's really hard, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because all these things are related, aren't they? Dyspraxia, dyslexia, Asperger's, ADHD. That's the problem, you see what I mean? Part of the problem.
That's why if you have one, it's not unlikely that you could have another one because it's more of a spectrum rather than like individual siloed conditions.
I've got dyspraxia, ADHD, and Asperger's traits, not Asperger's syndrome. If it's Asperger's traits a problem, do you know why?
Why? Well, that's because they might not have all the information. So you know how today we went through all the different characteristics? You may have a lot of some of them, but not all of them.
That's the problem.
I'm diagnosed with OCD traits, not the full thing.
Because Asperger's traits interact with dyspraxia and ADHD is very badly supported in the UK. Have you heard about this?
Very small?
No, very badly supported in the UK, ADHD.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. It's not very well known in terms of how to support people.
But I think it's the impact is worse than dyspraxia. So I mean,
they all have their own challenges and strengths. Don't worry, we're not doing like a competition here. But
it's okay. I'll carry on. It's all right. Okay.
Okay, no, Basil. Okay, thank you. Oh, sorry, Basil. I put you on mute just so we can carry on. I didn't mean to be rude there. I pushed it too quick. But we also do workshops. So if any of you work in companies and want us to come along and do a little chat, more than happy to. We do audits to make sure that you're inclusive, and also support. So maybe if you are looking to find an inclusive employer, you can get into contact. And okay, Catherine has said, I would like to book an individual advice session. I'm trying to get access to work and work support, currently off work. Yes. Now, if you are in work, furloughed, struggling, or anything along those lines, you can get in contact and we can make sure we can get support for you. And that should bring me on to the next slide. Fingers crossed, I've done my homework right. Okay, back. And yes, here we are. So this is for access to work. So if any of you guys would like support or training and in the UK, all you need to do is have a job or have a job confirmed. We will do the assessment completely free, and we specialize in neurodiversity, whereas other companies will do everything under the sun, from like visual impairment to back problems. So they might not be as skilled in that particular area. That's probably our niche, our unique selling point. We will apply for the grant on your behalf because, let's face it, no one likes paperwork. And as you know, access to work, I love you dearly, guys, but the system's a pain. And we also provide the training if we're the right fit for that. If you are not in the UK, you can still have the same thing done, but then there probably will be a cost attached, but that will be like case by case. So get in touch anyway. Now, I noticed we've got a few questions on this. So Anna said, Nat, do you know of any good counsellors who are sensitive and compassionate to work with neurodiversity? Yes, if you get in contact separately, there's a few. Some that specialise actually in neurodiversity and counselling, others who just tend to be a bit more empathetic. But also, you can just get in contact with us on our website. I think it says like looking for support or looking for help on the website, and you can book a one-to-one where you can have an hour with us for free. It might not be longer term enough for you, but it's a good starting point. And we have some really good trained people. Neil has said, I was meant to start a job in March, but due to COVID-19, it was sadly cancelled. Yeah, you know what? This crisis is bad for everyone, but particularly for people like us, it can be even harder because people aren't willing to take a chance at the moment. They just want like real quick results because of how challenging. So we are seeing a massive increase in the amount of support we've been offering. Now, we are almost done. So if you guys have any questions, ask them now or forever hold your peace. Or you can email me later, either way. I will be uploading this video, this very video on our YouTube channel, which you guys should receive an email with the address, but it's just exceptional individuals. And we also have all our other webinars from like every week. I believe we have a webinar nearly every week up until December this year. So if you're curious to do a similar thing, we've got this coming up on am I autistic, dyscalculic, ADHD, where we're going all through the characteristics in a bit more of an interactive way. We've got some fun quizzes and also some interview techniques. So I'd love to see you guys again, because the more interest we have, the more likely I'll be able to keep doing this. But it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. So go have a lovely rest of your day.